Welcome to another edition of the Blue Review. Travis Rogers with me today because apparently CY has...
Does he still work here?
I think he does, but I don't know what's going on with him. Maybe it's 4th of July hangover. Who knows? Could be anything.
Maybe.
But Blue Review is presented by Los Angeles International Airport, where changes are arriving daily to help reduce traffic, save travelers time, and transform the travel experience. I always appreciate when you're here, Travis,
of course.
Just because... we do this anyway.
I was going to say, totally just fine. Put the iPad in front and go.
Yeah, and go. So, all right, so a few things. Don't want to really do a game recap as much as just say there's a few good things that happened last night, despite the loss.
Yeah.
The bullpen actually was really good outside of Evan Phillips, who was not supposed to play anyway.
Yeah, he had a bad night, whatever. Like you said, he wasn't supposed to play anyway. The bullpen has been better. I do worry a little bit about whether that's sustainable or not, because when you look at what the rotation looks like, you're going to have Stone, Miller, Emmett Sheehan, Grove, all of these guys that have not shown, with the exception of Miller, that they're going to be able to get particularly deep in games, which means you're going to ask more and more of that bullpen, and that's never a good thing.
And it's not sustainable like that. And even Bobby Miller's kind of had some rough outings.
Yeah, he's regressed a little bit.
He has. And he's going to go tonight, so we'll see what he does tonight, but that's where some interesting things start to happen. The most interesting thing that's going on was not a Dodger thing. It's an Angel thing.
Right.
And Mike Trout on the IL, out 6 to 8 weeks.
Yep.
Anthony Rendon
fouled another ball off his leg. He left the game on crutches. X-rays negative, but it's Anthony Rendon.
So that's just another IL stint for him.
Yeah.
And Shohei Ohtani has a blister or something with his fingernail.
Blister on the same hand where his fingernail had cracked the start before. So he's had two things on the same finger in 2 starts, which is, not good.
Kind of spells out IL stint.
Gave up 2 home runs, gave up back-to-back home runs for the first time in his big league career. It was not a good weekend for the Angels.
No. So now that Ohtani is now going to be out, that means he's going to go on the IL, and they're going to start to drop heavily because Trout and Ohtani is their entire team.
So Mike Trout's going to be gone almost for sure through the trade deadline, right? So even if it's best case scenario, he comes back after August 1st, which is the trade deadline. Anthony Rendon, who knows? He never really plays. When he plays, they're pretty darn good, but he doesn't play very much. And then the Ohtani piece is, totally up in the air. I know that they've said to anyone who will ask that they're not going to trade him. I think that they've already made a huge mistake by not moving him already. I think you still have to move him right now. I think that you're going to see them dip for they're 4 out on a wild card. They're 7 out in the division. They're playing their worst baseball of the year. They just lost their 2nd and 3rd best players to injury. This is the last chance you have to get anything for this guy, and they probably won't do it anyway.
No, they probably won't, because that's what Artie Moreno does. He does the wrong thing. So now it gets into the conversation of what do the Dodgers do in terms of Ohtani? If for some reason the Angels and Artie Moreno say, all right, fine, we're 10 games back of the wild card at the All-Star break because of everything that went down, because of who knows how long Ohtani's going to be out with the fingernail and all that kind of stuff. Do you double pay for Ohtani? I don't think you do, but at the same time, I'm starting to change my opinion because he fixes 2 things. He fixes 2 things at once. He makes now we're having trouble with the rotation.
Yeah,
Kershaw will come back. Marias is already back, and then you have those other guys. But then Ohtani's back, and then if you have him already in the starting rotation, kind of makes a go this year.
I think that the pitching component of it is pretty obvious, right? Like for all the reasons that you just said. Not only does he's your best guy. Like he shows up and he's your best guy right away. So you have your number 1, and lets Kershaw be your number 2, and then everyone else can kind of slot in after that. All of a sudden you have something really formidable at that point. Look at it from the offensive point too. The Dodgers have been great offensively this year. Mookie's been great, Freddie's been great, JD's been great, Will Smith has been great. Drop Ohtani into the middle of that, now all of a sudden that lineup becomes far more devastating the deeper you go into it. Now all of a sudden you have James Outman way deep into the lineup. You have him somewhere 7, 8, 9 in there that, they're just, it changes so many things on both sides like you were talking about. And I wouldn't double pay for him, but I might pay 1.5 for him. You know what I mean? Like I
got that.
I really don't want him to see life outside of the Angels that isn't the Dodgers.
Right.
I just don't need him to see that because maybe he likes it and they fall in love and he never gets here.
Yeah, and so you mentioned James Outman, 2 home runs, finding his power swing again.
Yeah, he looked good.
That looked really good. That makes me happy to see that he's doing that.
Well, when we went to the Angel-Dodger game a couple of nights ago,
said
I said to you, I'm like, he's tracking the ball off of Ohtani, right? And he was seeing the ball really well. He hit the ball hard twice. He didn't get any hits, but he squared Ohtani up twice. You're like, all right, he's getting close and it's finally starting to happen.
And then back to the Ohtani thing. So JD Martinez has been fantastic. He's starting DH in the All-Star game. been really, really good. Now, obviously, I wouldn't say go just get rid of the guy, but
No.
if Ohtani comes, Ohtani is the DH, and there's no space for JD.
Can you play him in left field or at least see what happens?
So JD's whole thing is he has played in the outfield this year.
Yeah.
To be fair, but his whole thing is I don't even own a glove.
They can buy him one, right? Because you don't want to give up that offense. Look, he's going to make some mistakes. If he can catch fly balls and throw it to the right base, if you got
cut off man.
I'm willing to give it a try. Now, maybe it affects his offense, and you got to go for there. But let's just say it's literally either or. It's a no-brainer. As great as Martinez has been, it's a no-brainer. I don't think it'll be an either.
I mean, they have a depth in the outfield where Peralta is now playing well.
Yeah.
And
Jason Hayward's having a great season.
Fantastic. So so someone's going to get pushed out of that area, especially. I mean, unless you move, which is something we've talked about too. This is all just kind of happening in my brain right now, but. Mookie goes into the infield, and then you have Hayward in right and Outman in left, and then you kind of mix between Peralta and.
I want if we're gonna have to have Martinez in the outfield, I want him in left field. I think that's where you can do the least amount of damage.
Right. Well, that's where Peralta is going to be. Who made a nice diving catch.
Put Outman in center and put a revolving door in right field between Peralta and Hayward and whoever else you want to put out there, and see what happens.
And put JD. He has to play every day, right?
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Heck yeah. Put him in left field.
Just imagine what that lineup looks like up and down now. If you put Mookie into the infield, Shohei Ohtani is the guy who's your DH.
You know who else would really change things dramatically? And again, the offense has been really good. If Max Muncy wasn't hitting a $190, and I know he popped one this weekend, or on
Monday I was there,
but he's not scary anymore.
No, he had a single the other day, so that was nice to see.
He's batting 190. He doesn't have to hit 300, but he can't bat 190.
No, I mean, but it's so okay. This is always a good conversation, and we don't have a lot of time, but. Max Muncy is not only is 190, but his on base is like 330.
Yeah.
And then his slug is over 4. He's batting. He's got like close to an 800 OPS. So the guy is doing kind of what you need him to while his batting average.
The thing I don't get about, and you're right. Like his OPS is above league average, and he does hit a lot of home runs. He does get on base at a pretty good clip. This was not a guy that came in as a 190 hitter.
No,
this is a guy who was hitting 250, 260, and was a threat to double, to get base hits, to drive in runs. And now he's turning more into a slug or nothing guy. I'd like to see a little more of that other guy we saw for the first few years of his Dodger career.
Yeah, totally agree with you. So, all right, appreciate you, Trav. Really always fun having you. Yeah, see you. If CY's still not answering due to the 4th of July weekend or weekday. All right, but that'll do it for us. Thanks very much, and thanks to LAX. See you tomorrow.